Good morning everybody, this is Alex Bradley from Anything Geeky Reviewed, and today I will be giving you a first glimpse at SPAZ, or otherwise known as Space Pirates, Zombies and Bounty Hunters. Now, it's another little indie game that I'll be showing you. Let's get ourselves into the game, shall we? Start off where I left off earlier, while I explain the game. SPAZ is a space-based game where you control a fleet of ships. Now you start off quite a small fleet of ships, but as you go through the game, collecting rare resources that you need called res, you'll start building bigger ships and have a decent-sized fleet. But you'll also start researching weapons and technology and so forth. The aim of the game is basically you start on the edge of the solar system, round about Earth, and you have to work your way into the middle of the galaxy to try and make yourself rich, basically. Your crew want to go and find as much res as possible and become incredibly wealthy. And of course, the closer to the galaxy you go, in the centre, supposedly there's more res. So your main job is to try and slowly travel that way. Let's have a look at the ships. This big ship here is your mothership. She is not really combat worthy, and she will not go into combat with you unless of course attacked. She is here to supply your fleet with repairs, building you new ships, supplying your crew, those sort of things. The little ships you're flying around me are my two kind of escorts, while I have a small, I think it's a small frigate. Let's have a quick look. This is the tactical map, pauses the combat for you, which can be quite useful. Let's have a look. I think that's a medium hull, yeah. So from medium hulls all the way to large hulls, and there can be some quite nasty large hulls. Okay, that should be a little better. I've lowered the graphics requirements a little, so it should a little less sluggish. Hopefully it will. Okay, so let's get straight into it and then have a look at the star map, shall we? So let's have a look at the star map itself. Okay, so as you can see, I picked a reasonably medium-sized, I think it was, galaxy, and as you can see, my goal is to try and get into the centre there. Whatever's at the centre there doesn't look good, but that's where we're heading. So to get there, I can travel all the way around here, or I can try and kind of jimmy route my way through and hopefully kind of advance the technology. But of course, the more you explore, the more you unlock some rather cool little bits of tech, which you will be needing later on. So it's not advised to skip tech levels, because you do need some bits and pieces, especially ship blueprints. You can only build newer ships by destroying them in combat. So if you don't actually see any of them, you can't get it, which is nice. So as you can see, at the moment my goal is to hit that star system there, which carries on the story, but I can carry on as long as I like and then go back to it if I want, so it's completely free roaming, which is a really nice feature with this. So each star system has its own little kind of solar system with planets and a sun, and let's have a look at that. As you can see, the red exclamation marks are usually missions. Some of them, I mean, you've got two factions in the game. You've got the civilian who kind of, the average day people who just want to get on with their life, earn a bit of money and live. And then of course you've got the police force and the military, which are known as, I can't remember now, let's check. UTA, I think it is. Let's have a look at their base, shall we? There we are. Little badges there. Yeah, UTA Security Force. That's what's happened with the UTA is there used to be a unified task force. They used to guard all the solar systems that had human population in them, and they used to do a pretty good job. But the problem was they overstretched themselves. So now they've gotten to the point where in each solar system, their own task force takes care of its own. So in a way, you can do whatever you want within the solar system. and it will not get passed out of that solar system. So if you piss off the police in one solar system, it usually doesn't get passed to the next system you visit, because there's very little communication between the two. Same sort of thing happens with civilians, and this is nice because sometimes, although you usually want to be the good guy and you want to help the civilian out, and that's usually what I do, but occasionally civilians have access to certain ships you can't fight or unlock, or even technology you can't get without first destroying some of their ships. So in occasional circumstances you will want to attack your ally, unfortunately, unless of course you want to try and do it without, and of course you're welcome to, but it will be slightly harder. Now, as you see, these are the gates. I use these to travel between other systems. As they're not defeated yet, you have to go into them and defeat the local UTA guard, or bribe them, depending on which one you prefer, before you can use that gate. Once you've done that, it's free to use and you can go back and forth as long as you like. Let's have a quick look. Now, what you'll see next to each one of these, this is the civilian base in the system, and this is the UTA base in the system. Each one of these will usually have a little $ next to it. If it has some useful technology, you can buy from there. That's quite useful to keep look at, otherwise you visit every station and find, well, where the hell is all this technology? It's quite spread out. Let's go and try and see if we can help these civilians, shall we? Civilian freighter is attempting to flee. Yeah, let's escort this civilian freighter, shall we? Combat is rather simply done. Oh shit, I think I've swapped my laser blaster out for something rather stupid. Yes, I have. Let's retrofit my ship before going into more combat. I think I put on a zombie launcher or something. It was supposed to allow me to take down enemy ships. Yeah, capture them. But it's not really worked so far. It seems to have a rather limited effect, unfortunately. I'm going to go back with my laser. You can of course refit anytime during combat. Your ship does have to disappear for a few seconds, which leaves your fleet a little bit exposed. Now, resources are quite rare in the system, depending on what difficulty you play on, and so is crew. So when it comes to actually losing a ship, you want to try and keep your losses to a minimum. Repairing a damaged ship, especially in the middle of combat, is actually more advisable than allowing the ship to be destroyed. Oh, I've got a ship ahead of us, partner. Damn, that was a one hell of a long range launch missile. You can use your own ship as like a shield against all sorts of right, sort of ship. Yeah. You use your shield against all sorts of damage to try and protect your allies, because these medium hulls are a hell of a lot tougher than what you would find normally. Each ship has a different amount of weapon slots. My bounty's just gone up quite a bit. I'm going to try and keep the damage off this freighter. Yeah. So if you do have some damaged ships, it is always better to use your medium hulls to get in the way of them. It does save them from being completely destroyed, which saves you quite a lot of resources in the long run, and crew, because you can use both as resources, not resources, but you can use them as bargaining chips kind of thing. You can trade in your crew, your surplus crew for extra credits, or you can trade in credits for all sorts of gadgets and stuff. So they're both quite worth keeping on to. Oh, shit. This is a medium hull. How come I don't know about if it's gone down? Okay. It's quite a bugger. At the moment it's not using it, but that particular ship has the ability to attach a fusion bomb. Now, a fusion bomb is slightly different from normal missiles you'll get.
I wonder if your eyes really do pop in space.
The actual commentary is quite funny as well. It's quite a humorous game. But yeah, the fusion bombs these things can equip are quite nasty. They're like area effect weapons. So if you get your fleet in the middle of one, it's the same as if you get your fleet too close to a ship that's about to be destroyed. They set off like a mini nuclear explosion because, of course, of the reactor, and that can do some serious damage. I've lost a couple light frigates from close exposure to a damaged ship, and the fusion bombs are really nasty as well because they can keep firing them. So let's have a look at so there's not much else I can do in this system, so how about we go to a more advanced system. I'll go to this system and then I'll show you the research tree. Now, depending on whether the in-game forces in this system like you, they'll attack you on sight or leave you alone. As you can see, I'm not particularly friendly with them. Now, I'm not too careful with getting my ship. There you go, there's a fusion bomb. I'm not too careful with getting my ship damaged because she's got some pretty tough armour and some fine shielding, so she can take quite a beating before she ends up going down. Damn. Now, as you can see, there's little green things we're collecting. The little green and I think blue circles are data, which are used for research. You can also collect little life pods. I love the fact that it destroys all my missiles as well. I've got a tactical option. Let's retreat from the shore. No point chasing him. You can of course destroy the fusion bomb, as I avoided it, but usually for this sort of class ship it's very difficult to destroy. It's a large bomb, so easy to hit. You can destroy missiles as well by firing at them. But it's got some decent speed on it when it first launches, so if you're in too close, you often don't get the chance to avoid it or target it. In one of the latest updates, they added bounties, or bounty hunters. So instead of just space pirates and zombies, you've also got to contend with a bounty over your head. The more kind of dangerous stuff you do, the more the bounty goes up. And some nice technology at this one, by the looks of it. What's that little target indicator? I'm not sure what that does, but the little dollar sign means I can buy some technology, and it looks like some kind of new micro missile technology. So that's what it means. It means there's a bounty station there, which increases the chances of you being attacked. But it also means you can also pay off your bounty if you don't particularly want to be harassed. So as you jump through the gate, sometimes you'll find there's enemies waiting for you. Help inside, bounty threat extreme. That's not good. But at least both of the civilians are okay with me. That's okay. Let's see who's got the technology. It's the officers, as usual. Now, what you want to do is you want to try and buy as much technology as possible, even if you don't think you're going to use it. Try and spare the credits or the res, because later on down the line you never quite know whether you're going to find use for it. It's not my shield, that little shit. So have a look. Now I won't say it to us because we're not liked enough. Energy burst cannon. Yeah, I'm not a fan of energy burst cannons, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Trade some goons to improve the relationship, and we should be able to buy it. Blueprint parts 2 of 2. So as you get more advanced technology starts being split up into several groupings, which is a pain in the right posterior behind. But I suppose it means it spreads the technology over time, so you might find a blueprint quite early on, but you need all parts of the blueprint before you can research it or use it. Let's have a quick look at the research tree. Now, every time you go up a level, which is when you gather enough data, you go up a level and you should get, I think, 3 points for upgrade points. Now, each level requires a point, so going from level 0 to level 1 requires 1, going to level 1 to level 2 requires 2 points. So you need to kind of save your points up, especially if it's something like a level 4, you need 5 points to go up to the next level. So you need to start saving them. But each level, let's have a quick look, as we can see here, each level gives you a different bonus. So level 1 for the reactor increases my capacitor, which allows me to fire my laser beams and laser weapons a lot more often and continuously, otherwise they run out of energy. Let's have a look. Reactor output, so it gives me a bit more power to play with, and that increases a bit of both. And as you'll go on, you'll get more and more and more. I don't know what the offline means. Upgrades offline to the mothership can be upgraded. Armor, of course, increases health points, and so on and so on. You will need certain levels of technology, so if I want to use a level 4 level drone, I need to be able to have a level 4 on my stats. I need to have it on here to use that technology. Same with beams and shields. It means it limits the technology. You can often get higher level technology before you can use it, which is quite good. It spreads it out. You get to find the goodies while not at the same time being able to use it. Shield's taking a beating on that little ship. So, let's have a look at the hangar, shall we? Okay, let's have a look at my ship. So, each ship is broken down into small components. Each ship has a different amount of slots. So, this ship is lucky enough to have 2 utility slots, so I can have a medium booster, beam booster module, which increases the range, while having a tractor beam. A tractor beam draws objects in without me having to actually physically go over to them. I've got, instead of main missiles, I've got SRM launchers, which launches lots of little missiles. I find it quite effective against targets, but it's a lot shorter range. And then I've got a medium single mount. I can swap this at the moment to 2 small mounts, but I don't like that. I much prefer the heavier medium laser than 2 small lasers. I think that's about it. And then of course you've got the armour on the side. You can swap this down to the original level 1 armour, and of course you can see there I've got some level 5 armour that I can't equip yet, but it's got some serious mass to it, so it will slow my ship down quite a lot. Now, down here we have our reactor, engine and shield. You can of course upgrade these as you find time, and you've also got the ability to cloak, which is quite useful, as I think some ships can even cloak and fire while cloaked, which is even more nasty, because I think at the moment when you cloak it kind of dissipates your cloak and they can see you for a second, but then you cloak again. It's quite a sneaky way of attacking. It's a pain in the arse. You've got to kind of fire blind to hit them. Now these are the smaller ships, as you can see. They're not quite the tiny ships, these are the tinies, but they are reasonably sized. They're quite fast as well, which is why I like them, and they're quite tough, which is why I've kept them this long. They also have a, well, they did have a tractor, but I've obviously swapped it for a booster. Considering by the first small hull you really get, it's one of my favourites, because these they might have slightly better weapons or slightly faster, but their hull strength is usually considerably less. So I've stuck with this, and it's done me well so far. It is getting to the point where they are struggling, especially when I'm up against a couple of medium hulls, but that's always the way. Let's have a look at the ship log. So this will keep track of all your quests, your story quests, and everything. Really, you don't do a lot of kind of story quests. It's quite spread out, so it's a much longer mission to actually complete the game. You can of course have a much smaller solar system, also galaxy map, but that means that the technology jump between each system is a lot higher. So you want to make sure you're ready to jump between systems, whereas this a medium galaxy has quite a lot of low-level systems as they lead up to the higher ones, and it's spread out quite a lot. So although technology is spread out a lot more, it also means you get a lot more time with a lot more missions to level up. I think that's pretty much it, except for this tactical mode. This is the mode that happens when you press spacebar. Now that B over there is the main little kind of warp beacon that we use. It also helps collect resources, so if your ship's full of resources you can bypass that and it will collect them out your hull. These yellows are civilians, I think, attacking the military installation at the moment. They aren't attacking us because we're not hostile to them yet. But the blue targets of course are mine, and you can give your ships all sorts of orders. You can send them off to repair, send them off to recycle the ship if you want resources, target advanced tactics, which of course adds formations and extra different firing modes, whether to fire when attacked, and defensive and aggressive formations. For me, considering this is an indie game made by 2 people, it's actually quite a miracle that it plays so well. I've never had a bug with this game, ever. It just works, and for that, it's incredible. It's such a simple game as well. You know, you look at it and you think, well, there can't quite be quite a lot to it, but there is. There's a lot of different technology to it. There's a lot of different weapons. I mean, if I show you what different weapons I've got at the moment, I personally prefer the lasers, but you have all sorts of options of pulse cannons, and you can get much better versions. I mean, I have a suicide cannon. I can use my crew to suicide aboard enemy ships and in the hope of capturing them. Now, it hasn't worked too well for me, but it I suppose works if you're good at using it. And then of course you've got extra boosters you can add on, and technology like these advanced cannons I can't use quite yet. That's just the beams. Then you've got the missile bays, you know, all sorts of medium surface torpedoes to kind of normal micro missiles, you know, to my favourite SRMs at the moment. Each one is down to how you play, whether you prefer something smaller, faster and hits harder, but may not reload quite as quick. It's up to you. The same goes for all these ships. I haven't had a large ship yet, so I can't tell you how good they are, but I presume, because I've fought a couple, they are quite nasty. You do get some fleet specialists who kind of give you bonuses as you play. Yeah, but I can't seem to swap between them. A bit annoying. Don't quite know what's going on with that system, but I'll leave it as is for now. I think pretty much it. I don't think there's anything I haven't shown you. So I think we'll call it a day there. This has been our first glimpse at space pirates and zombies and bounty hunters, as the new update added. First thoughts. For an indie game, it's quite impressive. I've actually had this for pretty actually a year now, and I've played it on and off at a time, starting new games and going as far as I can while the time allows, and I've always really enjoyed it. It's not complicated to operate. There's only, I'd say, probably about 10 keys to it if you include the 2 mouse buttons. Compared to some space games, that's a miracle, and it's just so simple and enjoyable to play. Your choices are your own. If you want to pick the police and support them, you can. If you want to pick the civilians, you can. If you want to be neutral, you can. There's all sorts of different ways to play it, and the story so far is pretty good, if not a little sparsed out. But it's just enjoyable, and I think for any indie game, any game at all, if it's enjoyable, then you've already got halfway there to being a great game. Most games that come out nowadays kind of have a lot more finickiness about them and can often take a lot more to enjoy. This you can just jump in and enjoy it from the get-go. It doesn't bog you down in details, it doesn't bog you down in schematics or complications. It just allows you to have a bit of fun. You can do whatever you want. If you want to raid trade lines, you can. If you want to attack pirate bases, you can. It feels so fun and free. It's almost like Freelancer, but a more strategic version, which is brilliant in my mind. So I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the bottom. If you want me to do some Let's Plays of this, I can quite happily do them. I don't know whether I'd start a new game, but I might just carry on this one and show you some extra missions later on. The one thing I do have a complaint with this game is missions can get rather tedious. They aren't really that different except for the actual story missions. So you may get a little bit bored going through with the normal missions, but as it is with a lot of games nowadays. So I have been Alexander Bradley from Anything Geeky Reviewed. I hope you've enjoyed my first glimpse of SPAZ, and I hope you come back to see some more videos in the future. See ya, bye.